Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Roshanak, and good morning to everyone out in Humanities Team. Welcome to those that are on YouTube. Welcome to those that are coming in on Facebook and those that are in the viewing room. We're excited to have you with you today, and we can't wait to get started with the show today. So first of all, we want to welcome and say hello to everybody and welcome to Mindset, Heartset, Reset. This is our official, third show, really second show. And we're excited to take you on a journey with us through the coming weeks and coming months where we really get to take time to grow and learn together. My name is Jacqueline Way, and I am your host, along with my remarkable co-host, the brilliant Dr. Roshanak Hashim. We are so excited to be with everyone in our new weekly partnership with Humanities Team. We want to welcome everybody, YouTube, Facebook. I know you're coming in right now. And to those of you that have joined in the viewing room.
Yeah.
And our viewing room. Our mission for this week and this live show is simple, actually for every week. And that is to expand love for each person watching, whether it's live right now or in the recordings after the show, because we want to expand love on a global scale. We have a vision to shift humanity's future into one which we can all thrive. And this isn't just another live show, but it's your personal call to action, my personal call to action for each of us individually and as a collective human race to increase our awareness and our deeper connection and expand global consciousness, creating a world that we don't just buy into, but we're going to flourish today and for generations to come. And we're going to learn more about that today. Each week, we're going to be joined by incredible guests. You can go back and watch last week's show. It was one that you need to go and see. It was remarkable, and we're even more excited for today. Our guests are going to be thought leaders. They'll be change makers from around the world. And we're going to introduce you to a unique perspective and a new lens in which you can view the world. And it's an opportunity for us to live fully from our heart. And that's really love. Our guests are going to provide us with practical tools in every episode that will give you the courage to hit the reset button on your own life. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my co-partner, my partner in crime, Dr. Roshanak Hashimoon. Dr. Roshanak is a computational, clinical, and behavioral neuroscientist whose work supports and transforms the lives of individuals and businesses. As the co-founder of Access to the Path, she combines power and process with science and emotional and spiritual intelligence. My dear sister, welcome to the show today. We're so excited to get going.
Hi, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I'm super excited. This is our second show, if you consider last week our hard launch, which it was. We had a soft launch on the 17th. And I want to tell you a little bit about the show. Because if you understand what the show is about, then you understand what we're doing every single week. So I'll give you our little show description. Mindset, Heartset, Reset is a dynamic live weekly show that provokes introspection, cultivates compassion, and sparks positive change. Through insightful discussions, practical tools, and authentic stories, it nurtures empowering mindsets. Very important. Open-hearted connections. Oh, yes. And the courage to hit the reset button on our lives. Its mission is indeed to expand love on a global scale with a vision to shift humanity and humanity's future into one in which all can thrive. We are super excited about the show. We have wonderful guests, as Jacqueline just told you. So today we are in the second of our series of the Indigenous series. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty today with our amazing guest, Kevin Martin, who is Assiniboine and Sioux. And of course, the connection that he has where he is on his land is not great. So we're working to go back and forth to get him set up because he was on before and he was kind of falling off. We may end up just having his video because of this. But today's show is super exciting, and we're very happy to have Kevin with us because last week we talked a lot about life in the continuum of life and the influence of indigenous wisdom on that sort of thought, because it came from the Nahua nation, this Dia de los Muertos that we talked about. And we had Dr. Anita Sanchez and Jose Hernandez, who had a near-death experience. So they're both Mexican American, and she's from the Nahua Nation, and he has had a near-death experience. So we had a beautiful conversation about age-old understanding and tradition with respect to how we manage life, how we view life, and how we live our lives. Because we didn't just like suddenly poof appear. There's so much history that comes into what we have as our world, a paradigm of our world. So we tend to not think about these things that really bring in and influence our perspectives, what we take for granted as fundamental truths. And today, what I want us to do, what we want to do, is to dig in a little bit deeper and speak with Kevin to move into this understanding, really. And this is Native American Month. So as we celebrate that, we really want to establish the edict of the indigenous on this planet, and what is their essence, their understanding, their spiritual connection to the land and to life, you see, that then informs our behavior. Because our brain, and I'm a neuroscientist, our brain takes in all this information, constantly computing internal and external environment and helping us to create that model of the world. That being said, if we are not paying attention to those narratives coming in, then we sort of are like driftwood that's floating around whichever way, the waves will throw us. So today we want to go and find a little bit of the stability that we get in the depth of the ocean, that tells us and speaks to the truth of the essence of our being, our deep nature, and the thread that runs through all of nature, creating this beautiful matrix that is this web of life. So this is the intention for our series and our show, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. So I believe that Kevin is with us now. Is that? Are we
It
fortunate?
is.
Yes.
There he
Kevin.
is.
Wonderful. So let me introduce Kevin Martin to you for just a quick second, so we have more time to actually speak with him. Kevin is, as I said, an enrolled member of the Assiniboine Sioux on the Fort Peck Reservation in Montana. He's a Native American cultural advisor and an advisor for business development and philanthropy within Native American nations in the U.S. He is a devoted family man, shares his life with his wife, Mabel Martin, an esteemed Navajo language cultural instructor of the Diné people. And their family includes two accomplished daughters who shine in their own right as entertainers and inspirational youth leaders. So Kevin's been involved with a lot of things. Let's just get right over to Kevin and welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for making the time to be here. I know that you made provisions to get away from your job to come in and join us for this special occasion. We are so grateful. Welcome, Kevin. Kevin, are you with us? This is so sad.
Can you hear me? This is horrible. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you guys
really
hear
sorry
me?
about that.
This,
Yes, we hear you now.
I'm sorry, guys. This is horrible for you. I know. I'm trying my best over here.
That's
But
okay.
this is
We're
a
not
reservation, and we just don't have internet.
Yeah, this is a real problem on reservations. In a way, I'm kind of glad this is happening, because one of the truths that we really don't face as we're going about our very comfortable lives in general in the US, in particular in the West, is that, we are, if we have like the tiniest breakup or a little bit of freezing, we're like, oh my God, But what we don't understand is that on the vast majority of reservations, connection is extremely bad and sparse. It's only now, slowly but surely, starting to improve, and we understand how important connection is, not just through internet, but at all, and the internet being a beautiful representative of that. For being able to move forward and flow in communication, right? If we don't connect in communication, we're just throwing things out, and who knows where it'll land, who will get it, how they will filter it, etc. So being able to be connected while we communicate or to be able to communicate effectively is incredibly important. And that's something that our indigenous friends, unfortunately, don't benefit from, amongst other things. I think that's really important when we consider in Native American History Month what is going on with the history of our beloved indigenous nations. How are you doing over there, Kevin?
I'm trying my best. I've got the tech on the way
Okay,
over
we got
here.
you.
So
We got you. Let's go with it. Let's go with it. So let's
he's
just
going to
dive
go up
right
and
in.
down.
That's okay.
Okay.
Let's just dive right in. And as long as I have you, I'm going to ask you a question as we're talking about communication and connection. So I'd like to ask you if you could help us to understand the role of the indigenous people on our planet. What is the edict of indigenous people? Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yes, it's our traditions that we are representatives of all the life that you see, all the life underground, on the surface, that flies in the air, and that cosmos. And as such, we have a spiritual connection to every particle in the cosmos. So my tech is here. Hopefully I can get this connection stabilized. Can you hear me?
Yes,
can.
you're doing great.
Trying to
Let
get
us
this
know
connection stabilized.
if you'd
Yeah.
like to continue.
As I've said, that's our role. That's our role.
Okay. Unfortunate. However,
That's okay. You know what? Let's give him a few minutes, and Roshanak, let's you and I. There we go. You know what? This'll help us. It'll help Kevin get cleaned up. He's got his tech support there now. But
yeah.
you know what? You and I can do is
Well, I mean,
let's.
I would like to finish his thought. So at least we have a little bit of
Exactly.
groundwork on what he was saying. I don't know if the audience could hear, but what he was saying is that they represent all elemental spiritual nature. Every molecule in the cosmos, they feel connected to it. So they speak for what can speak, all that cannot move, the four-legged, the two-legged, all that fly above and crawl below. And that the presence that they have to everything that exists is fundamental to how they function. It's not just a cultural wisdom, it is inseparable from their spirituality. It's something that I learned in my conversations with Kevin in preparing for this show. And so I think that's important to lay that groundwork, the reverence that they have for their place, all of our places in the universe, how we didn't just poof appear, we came into being. So this connection of treating all people with a basic respect, and all things with a basic respect, and all nature with a basic respect, speaks to this unification of all that is, and an ability to have more liberation, more peace, more clarity, more authenticity. And I really would like to lay that groundwork for our audience as we're going forward. Jacqueline?
You know, one of the things I love to discuss with you as well as we're waiting for Kevin to come back, and I did this ritual myself. You and I talk a lot about practices, and I'm looking forward to talking to Kevin about practices when he comes back. And last week we were talking about rituals as well, and tying that into our daily life, and how we can create these practices that connect us from the moment we even wake up in the morning, and how we start our day each day. And I'll share with everybody, one of the lovely things that I do in the morning is I have a rooftop deck. That's called the bird's nest at the top of my home. And even in the mornings, and I get up very early, I go up to that deck so that the first thing I do is I get connected to the world around me. And I don't just get connected to my phone. We all have that great habit of first thing we do, we can pick up our phone. And instead, I go up and I look out and I have this beautiful view. I get a view of the ocean and I have big trees. And I've now identified this one big tree. I call it my mama tree. And what we know about a forest, and I don't know if anybody out there has done this before, but if you look under a forest floor, you can actually see underneath the floor
Mm-hmm.
how everything is connected. And there's always the mama tree. There's one tree in the forest that's a little larger than all the other trees. And it's like the satellite system for the forest. And so I have found the largest tree that kind of resides in my neighborhood. And every morning it's the first thing I do is I go out and I honor that tree. I say thank you to the tree and I say I love you. And I realize that in this practice for myself, that when I can look at a tree and literally say I love you and thank you, I feel like it's now a reflection back on myself. And it's a reflection of me saying, well, if I can love that tree, it's a reflection that I'm actually loving myself as well. And I'm looking forward to talking to Kevin about this, but I see this in the indigenous practices. I see this in the deep traditions, that in them connecting to the smallest creatures, to the largest trees, to the water, to the earth, that in that they're getting that reflection and that connection back to themselves. And you and I talk about this a lot, is how do we, in this what feels like a separated world right now, where we feel disconnected, not only to somebody as close as your neighbors, or to, listen, even the people we share houses with, sometimes we all felt a little bit of that during COVID. But how do we get back to that connection to the people around us, but most importantly, the connection to ourselves? And I think that's where a lot of the disconnection happens, is we've forgotten how to connect to ourselves again.
I don't think so.
Oh, look at that
And now we can
timing.
connect to Kevin. Yay! Hi, welcome
Hi.
back.
Thank you. Well, thanks to our IT personnel over here. I finally got a
Beautiful.
connection.
Thank
I
you,
got a
IT
You
landline.
person.
do.
Yeah.
You do. You are very clear. We're very excited to have you back.
Well,
Super
Thank you.
excited. So we were
So,
talking about the Edict of the Indigenous.
well, as I said before, I'm of the Dakota, Ihanktawan, which are what we call Yankton. Some call it Yanktonais, from the Fort Peck Reservation. Just to frame it a little bit, there's only about 9,000, maybe 10,000. There's not too many of us left. And of that, the Ithancha, the leadership, there's only a handful that really understand the older ways and practice that. So I've been given the bonnet ceremony. I've been given our clan dances, and unfortunately, most of the guys that sang our clan songs passed away after we got done with my ceremony. So most of the younger people today don't really know that. The edict for us as Lakota people is we are representatives of all the life that we have, that we see, everything you touch, taste, smell, hear, and sense using your five senses. We have a spiritual connection and a responsibility, and we always have had that to the land, to the people, to all the life that we see. So our main responsibility as cultural leaders, as human beings, just common people, has been to sustain life and talk about what it is that we are looking at that is in need. We're culturally we're babies in the universe. We're said stardust, and we have come to a consciousness. There's many different kinds of things and a back and forth that I could probably discuss with you guys. So let's go ahead and
Thank you so much.
fill that out a little bit.
So you just were talking about this integration, really, this connection. Can you talk about this larger matrix of being and how there's so much less separation from the ancient, from the indigenous ways and the indigenous traditions and thinking, the wisdom?
Well, for us, learning is never static, as life is never static. Every day and every second that goes by, you're coming closer to your death.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why every breath should be precious, because we don't know if we're going to get another. We don't know if we're going to get another sunrise. That's just the way our elders have always taught us to be. You don't know. It's not promised. We assume, but we don't know. And so live today to your fullest and live in such a manner that the Creator can smile on you. You know? And
Mm.
today, what I see, and I just got done talking to a class, and oh, by the way, I'm a counselor. It's my traditional. I'm a traditional counselor. That's my title, but I'm a certified counselor within the state of Arizona. So um, I just got done talking to them about what we're seeing, the phenomena that we're seeing with the internet generation and the cell phone generation. You know, as you know, most of us born. I'm the last of the baby boomers. 50, 59. That's when I came on this planet. So we were raised without internet. We were raised without the distraction, and we were raised without the multicultural interjection into our ideology. And you know, today, most of the Ihana, you know, the elder people, the Ihana are most of them are gone now. Unfortunately, my reservation as of 1983 only had about 200 full bloods left, and that is due in part to I hate to tell you, it was a determined outcome from the U.S. Department of War because it only takes 4 generations for us to disappear if you don't marry a full blood. And because of the nature of them putting us on reservation systems, they would not allow us to go out into other tribes and get new bloodline. And that's how we sustained ourselves. You know, we could go out and get a Blackfeet wife. She's full blood. You're a full blood Dakota. The child was raised as a Dakota. They are Dakota. That's the way it used to be. But today's generation, you go marry a Blackfeet, and then you're put as an enrolled half, although you're a full native. You're enrolled half. So that's why I say it only takes 4 generations for you to be completely erased from the tribal role. So that goes against basically who we are, how we were, and it has basically determined the onset of um, tribal extinction, and it's happening. And there's such a thing as cultural extinction, and that's what I talked to the youth about this morning. In the fact that I said, if you don't think that what I'm saying is true, I said I want you to challenge yourself. I said put that phone down for a week and then see how you feel, see how you function, see how you interact with the world. Where are you getting your ideas? I told them you're walking towards something great or you're leaving something great on any given day. I said, what are you walking away from? Look at all your elders around here. Look at your language. Your Hatashi medicine men. There's only a few of them, and I know them around here in this community. There's only a few of them, and very few young people are actually picking up those ways. It takes a lifetime to learn, and the elders aren't going to give you information that you're not prepared for. It's wakam, it's sacred. So they go out and they learn non-native influences. I said, look at your music, look at what you're doing. I said, where are you walking? Who are you talking to? What conversations are you having? What is of importance that if you were to die today, if you knew you were passing away in 2 hours, what's going to be important to you? This is the mindset of our elders. This is how the people, the nation, when they herded them towards Fort Sumner, Kit Carson was herding them over there. I said, to me, what defines you as a man is different than today's generation. I said, I know some of your relatives out there in the older days when they were being herded along that 474-mile march. They held elders on their back. They carried them because they cared for them. They were precious. That's your knowledge, and that's like your today's data bank. That's who you are. So you had to preserve it, had to protect. They couldn't walk on their own. Some of their elders are up there in age, 90 some years old. I said I can guarantee you there were men that protected their tribal knowledge by carrying them the entire way. To me, that's a man. To me, a man is somebody who can feed your elders. don't have food. They used to go out and hunt deer. And the ladies used to cut it up for them. They can't see, they can't walk, so they did everything they could to protect them. That's a leader. Our definition of leaders today, I don't understand how they're leaders. Leading in what area that is of concern to God, to the Creator? What area are they leading in that the Creator can smile upon?
Wow.
To me. So
That's very powerful. Very powerful, Kevin. Thank you so much. Very sobering.
yeah.
But I think at the same time, we don't have enough real talk, and we don't connect to the meanings of the words. Our brains, I think, have habituated themselves to just that superficial and then move on. Our consciousness, as a neuroscientist, I can tell you, is extremely precious. It's very expensive. Our brain takes up 2% of the body's weight, uses up at least 20% of the body's energy. And so having habits or subcortical, what people would like to call subconscious, what we call unconscious routines, is absolutely necessary for us to function well. But that doesn't mean that we are disconnected from that. We had to create it in the first place consciously until it went into an unconscious subroutine. And I think when we talk about, like, we know, okay, we're going to die. Right now, it's become, because of all these wars and what's happening in the world, it becomes much more articulated for us. And I believe that we, like you said, imagine you only had 2 hours left. I believe that when we, there are monks that every morning they wake up, it's memento mori, remember you will die. And people think that's so morbid and I'm going to avoid that. I'm so grateful you brought that in, because it connects that thread with our last show that was about exactly this, because death is a part of life and life is a part of death. And we run from it instead of understanding the gift that it is, knowing that we have a certain amount of time and how we can honor all of that would give us real life, not just surviving, not just breathing, but the gift of life, were we to be able to stay connected to these fundamental and incredibly important truths. So I'm so grateful that you brought that up. Jacqueline, I know you had some questions.
I do. Kevin, first of all, I want you to know just the understanding that you're creating for all of us. I think is so helpful. It was one of the things we really wanted to help portray to people, was the deep understanding of how things have changed for the indigenous cultures, and not just over the years, because we know of the brutalities that have happened over the years, but even what's happening today. And the fact that what you just shared with us, I think, is so important for people to understand, is that in 4 generations, we could see the indigenous peoples literally being wiped out, which is shocking, but also so important for this conversation today, so that we can not only create understanding for everyone else, but also how do we bring those traditions forward? How do we take the traditions that you have been practicing timelessly for thousands of years? How do we start to bring those into today's world, not only within your own peoples, but how do we bring those forward into the world and create that understanding of the importance of the traditions that will actually help our world today? And I love that you were teaching and being with the youth this morning, because I think that's, not only does it start with us older people, but it also starts with our younger people as well. And the first part of this that I'd love to get into is, we're seeing in our world today, not only a disconnect between people, but we're seeing a disconnect from ourselves. And while we were waiting for you just to join us today, I was talking about the fact that we feel so disconnected from ourselves and even our emotional intelligence. Can you share with us some of what you teach and what you bring forward? How do we start to create an emotional understanding? What are the traditions and the practices that emotionally first can help us with our well-being and our emotional stability in our lives, because I think that's the first step to going to the next deeper steps to keep us connected to all there is. But let's start with the emotional response and how we can start being connected to that.
I'm going to begin by, when we speak to youth, and when we speak to an audience that has not heard it before, we have to go back to the beginning. What is the beginning? Where did all of our emotions originate from? It is composed of everything you heard somebody talk to you about, what you've seen, what you felt, how you collected it, whether it was something good and something you desired. But you have to go back to the beginning of the purpose, how we were placed on this earth to begin with as a race. We were all put on this earth. If you zoom out to the 60,000 foot above the earth level, so to speak, you look down upon us races on this planet. We say in our Dakotas, and we say that the Creator placed each race of people, each group of people had their own spiritual base, had their spiritual understanding and connectiveness. There was a reason, the original reason that he loved diversity. The Creator loved all the various colors and distinguished cultures, and gave everybody a specific way to worship the Creator. We in our language say that that's Ishe Yepi. And so to go back to understanding yourself, you need to understand the original reason why you're on the planet first, to understand each other, to accept each other, to accept what is, to be what you are composed of. You're composed of every particle of grain on this earth. You're composed of every molecule of air. Your protons, if you want to go into an intelligent self, your spiritual self, your protons are being exchanged every 30 days. So you literally are the surrounding air. You are the dirt. You are the earth. So individually, in getting back to your emotional self, you have to find a purpose. What's your purpose? What are you doing on this planet? Are you just existing? Is that your purpose? No. that's basically a construct of what you do on a daily basis, your routine. What's your purpose? Why are you here? Why did you evolve? For us, we understand our purpose. We've been told our purpose when we're younger. When we come up through Native families, we have our stated purpose. We're caretakers. We're caretakers of life. And so it doesn't matter what part of life, what color you are. Your purpose is to be a caretaker. Start with yourself. Start with your emotional, physical, spiritual, intellectual self. Are you a caretaker of that holy temple first? And if so, then are you a caretaker in your family? If so, then are you a caretaker for your relatives, people around you that surround you? If so, then are you a caretaker for the broader areas? We can always find something in the earth, as is what we describe as our purpose. We can always find something to talk about, to take care of. There's always something where somebody doesn't understand and they hurt each other, or they hurt the land, or human intervention. There's two sides of the duality of human beings. We're destroyers and we're creators. So for us, as far as our purpose, we know how to destroy. We can destroy each other with words. We can destroy each other with weapons, as you see today. But do we know how to create? The only true creators that we know on this planet, the first creators are women. You evolve from a globe. You evolve from a sphere. You were that. You are the heat that comes from Makaina, Mother Earth underground. So in order to be one with your emotional self, go back to what you're constructed of. Are you at peace? with what you're constructed of. Do you run it through your mind in the scientific method? Because I will tell you that there is a finite area through the scientific method. And the more science pushes into it, the more they understand that as they go down into molecules and protons and quarks and what have you, all the way down to string theory, they find that there's an energy that holds all this matter together. For us, we say that energy is a spirit. It's Wakan, Wakan Tanka. So in order to have a really solid emotional self, you need to find a greater purpose than yourself. And you need to begin to heal one of those intelligences, your emotional, your physical, your intellectual, your spiritual being. Pick one thing and begin. Just one thing that's easy to do. Set that goal so small that when you accomplish that goal, you have another small goal. Set small goals so that you can accomplish them. You have a sense of confidence. You have a sense of, I did something today. Even if it's changing something small, an eating habit, abstain from something you know is not too good for you, sugar, fat, something. Accomplish something small so that you emotionally can grow spiritually, intellectually, physically. So hopefully I touched on a few things for you.
Roshanak, we can't hear you. Your mute's on. Thank you.
Thanks. I just noticed that as you're saying it. I am the master of talking to a muted microphone, just so you all know. I love what you said, Kevin, because, well, for two things. First of all, there's a Japanese tradition called kaizen, where in the West, we're always rushing to change and grow and move everything along as quickly as possible. For them, it's a slow change that becomes really embedded and embodied. So it's this idea of slowly changing over time, and it becomes a real and sustainable change. And that processing that is required within us as we change is what turns into wisdom. But also where the brain is concerned, what you're saying makes perfect sense. There's a great book called Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. And it's exactly this. It's to do one little thing, because as we talked earlier, the brain loves to automate things, right? Because that's how it optimizes for the phenomenal amount of information that comes into it every minute, every hour. You have over trillions of bits of information coming in. It's insane. And so one of the things that we do, our brains does for us computationally, is to bring what is unnecessary to have your focus and your attention into the subcortical areas. That's where habits live, right? And so habits are what you're doing over and over until you don't have to think about them consciously, which is slower, by the way. And so when you change one thing at a time, over time, to create a habit, you need a trigger, you need the behavior, and you need the reward. Without the reward, you don't develop that habit. So this small change, these incremental change over time, and taking the time to celebrate what you've been able to achieve and accomplish, really is, I don't know what that other sound is, really is highly effective. Is that me? Am I
getting a little feedback right now?
okay? Let me turn that down. Is incredibly relevant for being able to make those changes in the first place. So for us to be able to make those changes, we need to pick things that are really tractable, something that we can do, something that sometimes seems so ridiculously easy, it's not even worth it. You know, we feel in the Western narrative that it has to be immediately, overwhelmingly amazing for it to be worthwhile or to be noted, you know, for us to say, I did this thing. But the brain will be very much giving you your reward even when you do a little thing, if you then turn around and use your attention to attend to, I did this and I'm moving in the right direction. And then that over time, that does become effortlessly a habit, because you're doing something that's easy to do, tractably, growing slowly, and then allowing yourself the time for your brain to process what that means to you, those changes, because the architecture of your life will change as you change your behavior. Your trajectory changes. That's normal. So what you said makes so much sense, both culturally and neurobiologically. And I want to ask you a question now moving forward with that, which is, as we start to make changes, as we become connected, there's also, and you've spoken so beautifully to the truth of what's going on with the changes, the undesirable changes, the external influences that have changed or caused change for indigenous nations. And we see, and you said there are so few people that are embracing the ancient traditions. We see the results of that because of a disconnection, this narrative that comes in. Narrative is everything, right? So the narrative of it has to be big or it doesn't count is something that works against us being able to really create change that we want to create and that we can create. So we're within our own cultures, we know the narratives because it gets passed down to us from elders, whether we call them elders or not, because let's say it's a Western, modern, we still have family, we still have ancestors. What they thought was right or okay got passed down to us as what we think is right or okay. But then when another force comes in and takes what we know to be true through that slow embodied change and process that then becomes an embodied wisdom and is deeply ethical, value centered, and spiritual. When another narrative comes in and redirects that, disconnects that recontextualizes, removing the and decontextualizes, removing the import, the gravity, the gravitas, then it leaves us hollow. And we see this right now in our world that is just tearing itself apart because we've hollowed ourselves out. Can you speak a little bit to that process of this, of the importance of context, spirituality, and this transition to hollowing out, and how we can come and fill ourselves back up?
Sure. I mean, I do a little bit, and I've looked into, and I've been trained as a professional counselor in cognitive behavioral therapy, in cognitive reconstruction. And if such a thing is to be stated, you also have the possibility of spiritual reconstruction. And you basically, I'm not going to sit and dictate to anyone a stated path towards that. I mean, there are so many various spiritual bases, but what we always say in our spiritual bases at the Kotas, and we say that it's conical. All of these spiritual paths. That's why we say Waka, Tonka, Waka, holy, Tonka, the biggest of all that's holy. We acknowledge that there's other spiritual bases out there. We acknowledge that there are entities and deities out there that people know and they utilize. They were given those things to know. So we acknowledge that. Ishe Yepi. And if we don't understand it, we say Ishe Yepi, which means that if you don't understand a person's spiritual base, spiritual self, wait until you're older. Be wise enough to understand as you go through life, you're going to change. Your emotional state will change. Your spiritual outlook will change. In order to fill that void that's missing inside you, you have to basically ask yourself, if what you're doing is not now is making you happy, do you need to change it? Just like little children, their sole purpose when they're young is to play in this earth. We forgot how to play in this earth. We forgot how to enjoy this earth, to look at the the beauty of Makaina when she's putting her makeup on in the morning. We call it Yonkaheo. The beautiful colors that are there. This spiritual enjoyment of the taste of the air, the spiritual enjoyment of the taste of fresh water, the spiritual enjoyment of watching birds fly. Simple things. Go back to simplicity. Clear your slate of all these major construction. If you look at your soul, it's not like a Sistine Chapel under construction with all this palleting all the way up the chapel. You're not that. You don't need to be that. You need to basically learn how to enjoy what you see, touch, taste, hear, smell in a new fashion, in a new way. That's why we talk to it. And the biggest accomplishment we can have on this earth is to talk to the life that was put here in front of us. If we talk to a tree, I know people say that's ridiculous. Trees doesn't have a soul. But if you
You
ask the
missed our
tree,
earlier conversation. I was saying I do that every morning when I wake up. I go out and I talk to my trees.
you're supposed to. That's your only thing you're doing is you're becoming aware of where you are, where you were placed on this earth. This earth is not dead. This universe is not dead. See, I don't know who got that idea, but somehow or another that invaded every culture today. But that's all you got to do is try to communicate with it. And if you don't know how, what's the harm in the effort? See, what are you actually doing? You're trying to emulate beauty throughout the world. You're trying to gather beauty, and you're trying to give beauty. So what's the harm of that? See? To talk to the life that is here and to appreciate the life that's here. Talk to those birds. They do so many cute things. Talk to the animals. See? Talk to your fish. Talk to the tree. Talk to those rocks. And our old people say, if you're chosen, someday those things may talk back to you.
They do.
That's where some of our wisdom comes from.
Kevin, I'd love to ask you a quick question about, you're talking my language right now because I have found this beautiful connection
Yeah.
with everything in my garden, including talking to my birds, which I do almost every day. Can we talk about, you've talked about the different cultures, and I'm just going to step back a little bit because you were talking about, when the creator made this planet, it wasn't so that we could all be the same, but the different traditions, the different cultures and different places of the world. As you're talking, I'm thinking about the yogic traditions. I'm thinking about the Tao Te Ching, the wayfinding, all of these traditions. I feel like there's this common thread that runs through so many of the different traditions in our world. And when we look out at our world, everybody's seeing this division, but yet I'm seeing these beautiful common threads through these beautiful conversations we all keep, we're getting to have. What are some of the common threads that you see through the indigenous traditions and the other traditions in the other corners of the world that you've also learned in your own journey, in your own path? What are those common threads that somebody's listening in India right now, which we know is the beautiful possibility? How can we start to tie this together so that people are understanding you're not alone? We're not all so different. We're actually so much more similar than we realize.
Well, the base common thread is what we say is this word love. We it's kind of a cheap word for such a
They've made it
profound,
cheap, haven't they?
yeah, for such a profound power. Because when the creator created this world, it was created through love. There's a power in love. Say, he created all of this creation with love. Love is the power that holds this whole creation together. Because if it didn't love it, didn't have that love for it, it would dissolve into another matter. So love is the power, the thread, the main thread that ties us all together. We understand how we feel towards our mom, our dad, our sisters, our brothers. That which we love dearly is only but just a tip, a taste, a dot in the universe of the power that created this world. So when we touch that love, that's why when young people, when they first fall in love, you're not going to tell them they don't know how to love. That's going to fall on deaf ears. They feel it. And sure enough, when that goes south on them, which 98% of the time in high school it does, they are so devastated. They just, it's like a tearing of the soul. And because they touched a little taste, see, a little spark of what that power is. And so we can take that love and we can understand that when we have someone that we have loved dearly and they pass, say, when they pass from us, that grieving process, if you think about it, it's a gift because that tells you that you learned how to love. See, when you learn how to love, that grief that you feel of the passing of someone, that confirms that you understand a little closer to what this love is. And if we can retain that desire for something that's missing, say, if we can retain that and focus it in a direction for all humanity, you can learn how to love somebody else that you don't understand. You can love their culture because the creator loved it. He's the one who created it for them. He's the one who gave it to them like that. So for you to wake up and understand the beautiful richness of all the things you're missing out on, see, you get very busy with chasing down that which is beautiful. And to the creator, every particle on this planet is beautiful. So if you really want to know the depths of love, you got a lot of work to do. You know, you're going to have to basically break out of something that has put you into a place of a stalemate in your life, someplace that's hollow, someplace that doesn't feel good. So what we say is, why did you stop? You know, when there's so many other things out on there, you picked up one pebble out of the stream and looked at it and say, this is the one I'm going to hold. This is it. This is the only thing I'm going to look at for the rest of my life. Denying the entire stream with so many varieties of pebbles to the infinite. And you pick up one thing and focus on that. Maybe it doesn't taste good. Maybe it doesn't sound good. Maybe it doesn't feel good anymore. You don't need to be mad about it. So all you need to do is put it back where you picked it up and look to the horizon for something beautiful. It's up to you how far you want to follow that. So
Thank you. That was such a gorgeous reflection for us, and I'm hoping that people truly heard your words, because then my quick question, and then Roshanaka, I'm going to turn it back over to you. When we, and this is my question to you, is when we fall in love with someone else, when we put our focus, our attention, when we put love out to the world, is that our ability to see the love that truly is inside us, that comes through us, that it's our moment that we can recognize the love that we are? Because I feel that that's so much of the disconnection that we have at the moment, the loneliness or feeling alone. When we feel that love, can we start to understand that that's what comes through us and we get to share with the world around us? Every time we feel love, even if it's for another, it's really a reflection of just who we are.
I would say that's true, as long as you understand that nothing in this world belongs to you. You only borrow it. Sometimes when we get into relationships, I don't know where this idea of, hey, there's a ring on my finger, so therefore you must obey me. You must do what I say. I don't know where that came from. I really don't. Because in our ways, in our older elders, they say that when you were going to get married, the woman's family, she came into the teepee, and the man's family, he came into the teepee. And all night long, they passed advice back and forth to each other on how a woman should be, how a man should conduct himself, how a woman should conduct herself, and all the various roles that they've seen through their life all the way to old age. They establish a path of advice for those two couples. So when they come together, they understand where they're walking. They understand, well, their whole family is targeting towards a direction, and usually it's a spiritual direction. So when they share that love together, They say when she looks out and she sees something that is more desirable than her, than what she has, she wants this. And this other person, for whatever reason, got sidetracked, started doing something off color, whatever. They fell out of love. The the whole point was, number one, you don't walk away as enemies. That's not your enemy. See, you never owned her. You never owned him. They're not property. You can't buy it. You can't own it. See, the creator gave those gifts to you. And then through your own greed and through your own intentions and misunderstandings, you tried to encapsulate a power that didn't belong to you. That love is only borrowed. You cannot own that 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 power that holds this earth together. You can't own it. You can only graze it. You can only touch into it at times. The closest you're going to get is when you have children, babies born into the world. That feeling that you have, that feeling that you have, you're going to come close. Say, when a woman gives birth like that, when she gives birth, the way that she's connected to that child, a man is never going to know that because she felt that baby move within her soul. See, he's never going to know that. So there's love there that a man can never know. It's a gift to women. See, you can never know that. He can only speculate, but there's something that all women have. And that's it, right there. That's one thing a man can never be jealous of. They can only admire it. That's in all of our ceremonial ways. That a woman was the one who gave us our gifts to pray with. See, white buffalo calf woman was the one who brought our sacred pipe. See, so most of our traditions were all given by women. For us, we respect that, but we don't own it. And we were born from it. We were created with it. See, a woman's the creator on this earth. They're to be admired. They're to be respected. So how can you own your mother? You never can.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. Um, I want to, first of all, just give us a moment to let that really sink in. That was so beautiful. And I know women around the world are going, yes. Two things are standing out. They're very connected to me in my mind, in my being. One is understanding that every breath is a gift, an inspiration. That's what we call when we breathe in, an inspiration. And that to me reflects the divine and proof of that. And wouldn't it be wonderful if every breath were indeed an inspiration to us? But the very honest connection to what truly life is that then offers us the opportunity to be really alive, to thrive rather than survive, to really live rather than just survive. And this idea of love. I'd like to put those together with thoughts of the present and the future. So I believe that our greatest joy, really ecstasy, lies in being in a state of love. And I call it capital letters, absolute values, because for me, the divine is love. That is the definition of love. And we fragment it and demean it and misunderstand it and so on and so forth. We can never own love any more than we can own life. We can only live life and experience love and give love and receive love and be in love. And that to me is that space of being one with nature, capital N. But we aren't like that. So we must be disconnected from our own nature, which is one with the capital N nature. Can you give us some words of wisdom that could help us to come into a better state of being now. That, of course, leads to a better state of being in the future. And I know fundamentally, one of the most fundamental or important things to indigenous nations is the 7 generations, right? To be able to move forward to regard and always be conscious of and have that love and life and truth, authenticity, ways, wisdom, all of it, 7 generations forward. And so what can you tell us that will help us now and also 7 generations forward, that we can sort of get off the couch, as it were, and take action, even if that action is something that will change us internally with some sort of an internal practice that will then become a habit that allows us to create the habit of living more rather than just surviving or feeling always lost and in chaos.
Well, one thing that there's many different directions I can go with that, but I always go back to, I work with troubled minds, and I work with troubled people and indigenous people. And the one thing that I have to do for most of them is to set them down and ground them again, back into understanding. We call it Makochiwakan, where you are on this planet, above you and below you, to the 4 directions, to the middle of this fiery earth, all the way through the oceans, through the atmosphere. Who you are as a whole, set you in one place and think about it, to the 4 directions of eternity, see, and then create a space around yourself of nothing. Fill your space without clutter. You need to breathe in this air again. Think about each breath that you're taking it in pure. Use it, and you blow it out. And when you have water, you're giving water. That's your gift. You give water with every breath. So know that you have a purpose and a point. Know that when you're breathing, you're making the air rich with the water of life. Just by the mere fact you're breathing, you are producing clouds. In the minutest of ways, you are contributing just by being present there. Everything's waiting on you for you to say and wake up and understand that you are a representative of all the sacred things and elements you were put on this earth to be a representative. So you have value. Your initial purpose on this earth, you have value. They're waiting for you to represent healing and kindness. And that healing and kindness has to start with you. So you clear your space. If everything in your world is cluttered at this moment, clear yourself. Just sit there where you're at and say that prayer to what you call a higher power, to what you would call God or Allah or Jesus or Muhammad or whatever it is you're talking to. It's all the same. That spiritual base. Clear that space around yourself and begin to understand and put out something in as far as an intention. Have an intentional thought to forgive yourself anything you might have done wrong on this earth, to your family, around yourself. Stop mulling over something and tasting that same bitterness over and over. It didn't taste good yesterday, so why pick it up again tomorrow? Say, why pick it up again and use it today? It's going to be same taste, same bad feeling in yourself. So get busy, do something different. Say, you don't have to put those dark sides of yourself, Because all those dark things that you did in the past, the things you're not proud of, those are your scars. That's gonna make you who you are. Because you know that young people, when they're walking towards it like that, you already know you're gonna get hurt. See, you can take those moments, those past things that hurt you, and turn them around and talk to people about it and say, wow, I did those things. Put your pride away. You don't need to have pride. Stop having pride. If you want to be proud, look on this earth right here. Know that earth is waiting on you. Be proud of the fact that you were chosen as a being to talk for those innocent lives, talk for the innocent beings that don't have that direct communication to the Creator. Use the tools that you have to start healing your past. Walk forward. Walk forward and collect good things. Take yourself to good places. Let your eyes go see something beautiful. Say, listen for good things. Take that earphone out of your ears and stop listening to music with words that don't benefit anyone. Stop watching murder and mayhem and chaos for entertainment. Say, take yourself to a place where there's beautiful communication going. Take yourself to nature again. Take this earth, sit on this earth with your bare feet, walk on it, feel it, touch it, taste it, put it on yourself, bless yourself with it. Recreate yourself again. Use this air in the 4 directions. Breathe in with intentional thought. Breathe in these 4 different directions like that. Take that water of life and put it in your hands. Bless and wash yourself. Face to the east. Wash yourself off. And think about those things and with those things, because someone out there in the world has less than you. They don't have what you have. Some of them don't have hands. Some of them don't have feet. Some of them can't see. Some of them can't feel what you feel. Put your pain in the past and walk freely and have good intentions towards those that don't have those things. And we need to heal this earth. These leaders that are talking in disparaging ways are not leaders. They're small children that have lost their way. That is not what the Creator put us on this earth for. And I don't care what race you're talking about. We all have the same blood. We all have the same internal system. We all have the same feelings. We all have the same soul. So it don't matter the color that's on your skin, because we were created by a Creator that loved us into being, and we just need to learn how to love ourselves first and love each other and walk in a different path. And you can leave all those worries and that hate and that pain in where it happened, and just use those memories and those moments, and know that someone out there might be blindly walking towards it. And if you can, use a word of kindness to say, my friend, my relative, my brother, my sister, I understand you. I don't want you to get hurt. Please don't hurt yourself. I did. I did exactly what you're doing, and I hurt myself. I did. So use yourself in as example. Don't hide all your pain. See, present your pain in front of you, because those are your teachings of all the things you should have done when you didn't listen. You didn't listen to who somebody told you, hey, watch out, look out, you're gonna hurt yourself. Nah, forget you, I know what I'm doing. You run into it. And you stub your toe real good, then you know. See, that's what our young people don't know, because we're so far ahead of them. We've stubbed our toe so many times we forgot they haven't even stepped on the path yet.
That is so beautiful. That is so, I would say, obvious, that it's just natural what you're saying. Although I loved the imagery you brought up, the truth of it. And what I heard was, first of all, the truth of living authentically rather than living in fear of judgment or fear of failure. We've gotten to this place, especially in the West, where you have to be perfect or you're not good enough. It's very bimodal. Either you're with us or you're against us. Either you're perfect or you have no value whatsoever. And bringing us into that tapestry of life, I thought was really beautiful and visually stunning and engaging. I appreciate that very much. And it sounds to me like we just have to make a choice. There are two things. One, like all the animals and all the flora and the fauna that are just there, not in fear of how they would be judged, but rather just bringing forth themselves and whatever it is that they have to offer, and that's good enough. Not that anybody's judging, because they aren't. We have created this false separation that then creates a hierarchy, and then somebody else has to validate us. But I love the beauty of the simplicity of the truth. And that truth being that we are truly part of this matrix of being. And we just have to choose to see that. It comes full circle to where we put our focus. Rather than sleepwalking through it all and being unconscious, as most of us are walking around unconscious, choosing to be present, which means choosing to not time travel into the past or into the future or into some movie that doesn't exist. And here we are, often creating ourselves as the villain or vilifying ourselves. Our inner critic is merciless oftentimes, but nature isn't. Nature is fair, and there is so much kindness and love and beauty and love and truth and love in nature, because that is the embodiment of the divine that goes through all of us. And if only we could remember that. Thank you so much for bringing that to us, Kevin. We've really enjoyed having you here. Our time has come to an end. We went over a little bit to make up for the lost time in the beginning. We could talk to you for hours. I could listen to you forever.
Yeah, we can keep going.
Known you for a couple of years now, and
Can I put a plug in for
never
myself?
cease to be amazed by the weight and lightness simultaneously that you bring into every conversation. It's liberating, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for all that you've done to bring us all together.
Sure.
May you always be blessed.
Thank you. If I could put a plug in, look for me on the Discovery Channel around February 1st.
That's exciting. Amazing. Congratulations.
I just done filming. Well, first, before you congratulate me, a friend of mine asked me to come up and talk to them. Have you ever heard of Ghost Adventures?
I have.
The show Ghost Adventures?
The show Ghost Adventures, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I did a filming with them 2 days ago. So I'll be on the 1st. If you want to delve into that area, then
excellent.
I love it. That just sounds like
I
fun,
do love
Kevin.
it. Never ceases to amaze us, this Kevin. Never.
Exactly.
It was fun. It was really fun. But they're not going to have until around February 1st. So.
That's okay.
Kevin,
that's great.
We'll connect with you.
Zach Bagans and I. So I'm not supposed to pre-promo the thing, but I just thought I'd let you know that that's going to come. So
we're going to watch out for it.
I appreciate all of you. And
we appreciate you, Kevin. Could you? And I don't know if our production team can put up one of your links, but where can we connect with you? So you've helped us to know of this episode that you're on. But if people would like to connect with you further, would like to learn some more from your wisdom or from the indigenous ways, how can they do that?
Well, let me put it this way. I'm a full-time counselor. So I'm a school counselor, webmaster for Rock Point High School in Arizona. So you can get a hold of me, my email, my contact info, my phone's on there. So you can do that. I'm kind of hesitant to give my personal information out.
Not your personal information. If you have
Oh,
some
no.
kind of a site,
Yeah,
No, no.
It was a website or handles, yeah, that you use.
yeah, if
Yeah,
there's
so-
some public way that somebody could interface or learn more or continue with this beautiful teaching.
Oh, well, there was Star Life. You know, I had a 501c3 with Peggy Lou.
Right.
I don't know. So I put that off on the side for personal reasons. It's a big endeavor. Beautiful place, beautiful people. But right now, I don't have my own personal website. Star Life is still up. I think you can get a hold of me on Clubhouse. It's still listed there. Look at Fortune magazine did an article on me with Clubhouse and indigenous people. So if you want to read a little bit more about my work, go ahead and look that up. Fortune magazine, something about indigenous people, and how Clubhouse is integrating, and then it'll pop up. And it's like,
Okay.
some dear friends of mine did that. Then you can get a hold of me. I mean, anytime if you want to, you can always get a hold of me through email. You have my email. Anybody else, go to that Rockpoint site. I put it up. I'm the one who did the web authoring, so I do my own graphics. So
Thank you so much. So it was really a blessing to have you join us. That's
Sure.
one of the things that we love doing here on Mindset, Heartset, Reset is bringing to the world people that they wouldn't otherwise, these beautiful gems like yourself, they otherwise wouldn't have access to. So thank you so much for coming and joining us. Really appreciate you and your time.
Someday maybe we'll see each other. We don't say goodbye.
It's never goodbye.
No.
It's never goodbye. Our paths will keep crossing. I think, Kevin, I just wanted to share with you quickly is that, your words resonated with my heart so much today. Everything I heard from you, I was like, it affirmed to me I was traveling the path I'm meant to take right now. And I think that was the beautiful reminder for me that even though I'm not indigenous, I know that I'm being guided in that path. So for anyone else that has felt the resonance, just know, right, the words that you say and the words that Dr. Roshanak says and our other guests that we have, that resonance and those beautiful both tools and words of wisdom. I get the goosebumps every time, and it's absolutely beautiful to hear that from you, knowing that all of our paths keep crossing, and they keep crossing. It doesn't matter where we're from, but they keep crossing, and then we find this beautiful moment of time where they come together. So thank you, Kevin, for that. Roshanak, just before we go, shall we just introduce people to our space for next week, and Dr. Jude coming next week.
It's all you.
So perfect. Wonderful. So next week, next Tuesday for our live show on Mindset, Heartset, Reset, our topic will be Sacred Harmony, the symphonic expression of being. And we will be hosting Dr. Jude Curvin with us next week. We're so excited to have her with us and to continue the threads that we're going to see through all different traditions from across our world. And this is her study of anthropology and the cosmos and how we're going to tie all of this together for our series next week. So we're inviting you to join us. We can't wait to have you with us. And thank you everyone for coming, whether you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're in the live streaming room with us. We're so excited to have you with us. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation that is going to continue to bring more love into the world, because when we feel that love for ourselves and through ourselves, we all get to bring that out into the world. And Kevin, you reminded each of us of that today. So thank you so much. So nice to have in-person time with you.
Hey, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Have a beautiful day.
Peace around you.